something interesting to me, at least, and I hope it's interesting to you, especially if you want to have a meaningful life. And I don't think anybody doesn't want to have a meaningful life, but there's so much hype and noise about that idea. There's all kinds of stuff about having it all and laws of attraction and think and grow rich and all of the things that are associated with that you've seen and that you know about. And I am sure if you've made any effort at all at personal development, you've heard all that stuff. Maybe you've read all the books by Neville Goddard and Napoleon Hill and Richard Bach and Eckhart Tolle and a dozen other names that I could name and that you might already know. What does all this mean? I titled today's episode Blood on the Floor. We just got back from 2 weeks looking at this. Now, that isn't the real picture, but if you look back at my feed a little bit, we spent a couple of weeks over on Vancouver Island. We had a beautiful Airbnb that we stayed at, and the view off the deck of the Airbnb was of the water and of another island in the distance, and then way across there you could see the mainland of Canada. It was gorgeous. Oh, it was beautiful. And I got to sit every day. We had dinner on the deck every night, and it was spectacular. And I thought about that sort of heavenly place which is sort of painted idyllically as, having it all. And I thought about how interesting this whole maybe multi-billion, maybe trillion-dollar marketing industry is about trying to help you or me get what you want. You know what? Are you breathing? I am. That's good enough for this moment. Am I hungry right now? No. I had some breakfast. Had a shake. I got to pick what was in it. I'm not sweating where lunch is coming from. Now, you might be. And there have been times in my life when I struggled financially and I didn't have certainty about where things were coming from. So I know what that feels like. I'm not feeling that now, but I have. I also know that this unsettled yearning that we feel is real and it's divine. You and I came from a divine place. We were created by whatever you'd like to call the creator, the universe, God. I have some particular experiences that give me some thoughts, but so do you. And you can call it whatever you want, but you feel it. I had the beautiful opportunity to speak with a very accomplished woman yesterday who's a great coach, a wonderful person, and who said to me, I just have this feeling I want to do more. She used the words bigger way, bigger ripple effect. And that is not uncommon. But we don't fall up the mountain. Right? Sometimes opportunities fall into our laps. They do. One fell into my lap while I was in Vancouver Island, and I took advantage of it. It took me 3 or 4 days to do, and it was fun. And I was able to help someone who's a good friend of mine who happened to need that, and it was really good. And yeah, I also got paid for that. But the opportunity fell in my lap, but it didn't do itself. I had to go to work, whatever that meant. In my case, it was expertise that I'd acquired years ago, but I had to do some stuff. I had to spend energy, spend time, think, write up an opinion. I had to do some stuff. So whatever that dream is that you have, even if it's small, like I want the yard clean, or I want the house painted, or I want myself to feel better, or I want to stop ragging on myself in my mind, or I want to stop being fearful, or I'd like to make more money, or whatever that wish is, or a grand wish. I want to change the world, or I want to stop being angry. I want to forgive myself for all the mistakes that I've made. Boy, that's a big one. Forgiveness, self-forgiveness. Look, you, me, all of us, we've made mistakes. Now, we can either allow those mistakes to continue to have power in the present, or we can remove that power. And the way to remove it is to do what you can to fix whatever happened and then forgive yourself. That's as simple as it is. And if I don't do that, or you don't do that, then I live locked in that negative feeling and reduced in my power to attain that ultimate life or to be of service. We are built as divine beings to love and serve each other. We feel best when that's happening. The idea of helping people do stuff is so attractive and so much fun. And yet we live in a story that says it's too hard, we can't do it, we don't know how. You know what? You can start with the smallest thing and make it real. Like your birthright is to live in purpose, prosperity, and joy. But it doesn't mean that it comes on a silver platter or in an Amazon box. According to some sacred literature, the Bible, Adam was told, by the sweat of thy face, you'll eat your bread all your life. Oh, so it started out with work. Now, I titled this Blood on the Floor because that's a phrase that I use, and it's kind of graphic, but it's a phrase that I use in lots of circumstances. But the one I'm using right now is the effort that it takes to create something valuable. I've written 18 books. The effort that it takes to think about, to outline, to write, to edit, to get a publisher, to create the artwork, to go through the Amazon process, to do all that, that's a lot of work. The effort that takes. And you and I are the only ones that can decide if the effort is worth it for the outcome that we seek. One of the big discouraging things, for me at least, is that the outcome never seems to be exactly what I want. It always seems to be different, sometimes dramatically different. And so it's like, oh, it's not what I wanted. Or more often, it's harder than I thought. Harder than I thought. I'll use the example of stuff in the studio. My recording studio's over there. And as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to go work on some music. I love writing songs and I love singing them. And I love, in the studio, I have the gear and the software to do a full-blown production. So I do jazz and pop and that kind of music, and with drums, bass, guitar, keys, orchestra, all that stuff through software instruments. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? And I've got some 75 songs up on Amazon and Spotify and iTunes and all the rest. But that has taken a lot of work to do that. So the idea that we're going to somehow have this ultimate life, or this life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, without doing that work is just not true. And what held me back for a long time was the belief that I wasn't worthy. I can't have it. Another belief was, well, maybe I could have had it, but I've made too many mistakes. I'm not good enough anymore. Or another belief I held was, I never was good enough. Somehow I got left out of the good guys pile and I suck. Or all these bad things are happening to me, and so I can't do it. It's not my season. All of these kinds of reasons that you can live with those reasons if you want to. At the end of the day, I'm free to stay right where I am, and so are you. Maybe you want to. Then love that place and be there and feel good. And don't live in yearning and wishful thinking about something else. Just be happy where you're at. If you're not, then you say, well, I'm really not happy where I am. Okay, that's okay. Then the first question is, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go? Now, we did that when we were on Vancouver Island, right? We had a base home in a little town called Lanceville that's right outside of Nanaimo. About an hour and a half north of Victoria, which is on the southern tip. The weather was beautiful. It was warm some days and rained a day or two, but mostly it was sunny and warm. And every day, and sometimes 1 or 2 days ahead of time, we would plan, where are we going to go? And where we went one of the days? We drove up the island and then all the way across the island to the Pacific Ocean side to a little town called Tofino. Tofino. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen or been there. It has a beach on there called Long Beach, and it's one of the best surfing places in the world. It rivals the Gold Coast and any other place. People come from all over the world, and so, of course, it's a kind of a touristy town. We drove up there. It took about 2.5 hours to get there. We looked around the town, and we went in and did a little shopping, and then we went down to a beach called Long Beach. which is not California, but it's a very long beach and it's beautiful. And there were people all over it, dogs, and there were waves and surfers and surfing instructors and all this cool stuff that was going on all over the place. It was glorious. And we sat there on the beach for a couple of hours under umbrellas because it was pretty sunny. And then we walked in the sand and then we got up. And you know what? We did all that, including Joy's mom, who's 91, or she'll be 91 on September 1st, so in a few days. And she can't walk. She needs a walker. And so we helped her out, and then we took that thing and she could sit on it. It's one of those wheelies that you turn around and she could sit on and, put an umbrella, and we did all that, and we still had a great time, and it was fun. But because we decided where we wanted to go, we looked at the map, we figured out the route, and there was an interruption in the way. You know what? We got 3/4 of the way to Tofino, and there was a place where they were working on the road, and they were blasting, literally rocks, like blasting piece, because some of the roads are really steep, and there's a cliff and all that stuff. And so there was a stop sign, neat. And we had to wait and wait and wait. And they were blasting and they had to clear the road. There was a stop sign on the other side. And so after we waited maybe a half an hour derailment. Oh no, we could have been so upset. And instead we just enjoyed talking to ourselves and walked up and down, talked to some of the other cars, a big long line of cars and all that stuff, right? And then all of a sudden cars started coming to us. Oh, the other side got to go first. Oh, we could have been mad about that. How come they got? I don't know. Who cares? So they did another 15 minutes of finishing all that. I counted 400 and something cars that came from the other side, and then we got to go. And on the way back, we didn't have to wait there. Good fortune. Those kinds of detours and delays happen no matter where you're going and no matter what you're building. I had a thing happen in the studio the other day when I was working on some music. Some software had a glitch. And I have one today. I have a piece of software I use a lot, and somehow it doesn't work with either the last version of something. There's some kind of conflict. So I have to use an alternative piece. So your birthright is to have a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care what anybody else is thinking or doing. It is your birthright. It won't come easy. It doesn't come in an Amazon box, and it doesn't come, floating down from heaven. It is your birthright from heaven, but we have to create it. So my point today is to say, I don't know how much blood needs to be on the floor, which is symbolic of heavy effort for you. I know for me, because of some choices I made and struggles I had, there's a lot of blood on the floor. Furious and fierce work overcoming addictions and 35 years of depression and abuse in my childhood and just all kinds of stuff. And I could have, and maybe, given up a long time ago. I got so frustrated, I attempted suicide a couple times, 16 or 17 years ago. So wading through that was my opportunity. Your opportunity is whatever it is for you, but you can have the life here gazing at the sunset, either literally or figuratively, and your heart can be light and full of that feeling of serving and blessing and loving people and making the kind of money you need to make and want to make. Not fueled by greed, not fueled by showmanship, not fueled by being cool, but fueled by that divine voice that's in your heart. Because that love is the ultimate source of all of our creativity, of all of our desire to do good, and of our feeling and yearning to help each other get to that place of purpose, prosperity, and joy, despite the roadblocks, the detours, the health challenges, and the struggles you might have. That's one of the reasons I love my job as a coach, because I have the opportunity to help people embrace the truth of their divine nature and to discover and serve with their divine gifts. It's the funnest job in the world. I can't think of anything more beautiful. there's anything I can do to help you besides love you, which I do, I'd love to know that, because I won't know what to do to help you unless you tell me. All right. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being part of this, and we'll see you tomorrow.